Hello, dear friends. I'm Sel Gaston, and welcome to Find Your Daily Calm. Today's episode takes a bit of a gear shift from our usual meditative format as I share a compelling conversation from Ellie Abella's popular podcast, Biohacking and Beyond with Ellie Abella. In this episode, Ellie and I dive deep into the nature of fear, media influence, and the power of questioning the narratives we've been given. We explore how childhood experiences shape our beliefs, how Germanic healing knowledge offers a fresh perspective on health, how imagination can be even more powerful than sheer will when it comes to healing. Ellie unpacks the nature of viruses, biological responses to conflict, and the body's natural ability to restore balance. This episode is an invitation to challenge conventional thinking, embrace curiosity, and take charge of your own well-being. You'll find more details about Ellie's amazing podcast, Biohacking and Beyond with Ellie Abella, in this episode's show notes. So take a deep breath, this time not for stillness, but for exploration. Let's begin.
Welcome to B&B with Ellie, Biohacking and Beyond, the podcast where we dive into the incredible world of self-healing and mind-body connection using biohacking and lessons from Germanic New Medicine.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to this new podcast episode. Recently, a headline made its way around social media about something called diatoms, supposedly causing gastric issues and short-term memory loss. As you can imagine, it created quite a stir. A friend of mine, Giselle, noticed the headline and found it alarming. And this sparked a fascinating conversation in my biohacking and GHK or Germanic healing knowledge group, where we dissected how such fear-driven narratives thrive in today's world. For those of us in the biohacking and GHK communities, headlines like this make us roll our eyes because, well, we understand how they are designed to control the collective psyche. They prey on the fear of our bodies instead of encouraging us to understand the deeper biological purpose of our symptoms, something that we explore deeply in both biohacking and GHK. So, indulge us as we dive into how autosuggestion and fear-based messaging are used to influence the masses. We'll uncover the mechanisms behind these tactics and explore how shifting from fear to understanding can empower us to reclaim sovereignty over our minds, bodies, and beliefs. Let's get started.
Okay, hello everybody, and let's welcome my friend, my really, really good friend, Josel, who's right here. He is a master podcaster. Hi, Sel.
Hi, very kind of you. Master podcaster is really way up there, but I'm a fellow podcaster. I'd like to call myself a fellow podcaster by Ellie, who I started sabay with you, Ellie. Remember when you
Yes.
started your podcast? That's where also I started my podcast. I'm happy to be here. Hello, friends. Hello, dear listeners. And I'm here to learn because why am I here, Ellie?
Oh, because we wanted to represent the multitude of people who want to know more about the truth and still have questions about how it actually works. And we're going to talk about something really controversial, and we might get into trouble, but we just want to invite introspection about this particular topic, just because it was broached in my group, and like what you said, there were a bunch of reactions about it. They're like, really, how did that happen? So we decided, let's make a podcast out of it, diba? Let's talk about it.
Well, like, truth be told, I was also the one who coaxed, or I think the right word is what, triggered or provoked
Yes.
this podcast. But we're here to learn the truth also, and not to offend any people or groups of people for that matter.
That's right. And actually, the intention today is really to open your mind because, how do you know what your truth is unless you challenge them?
Yep.
And what we're doing today is we want to challenge what you think you know about certain facts that were fed to you
Mm.
and that were orchestrated. And so this is just another point of view. And it's up to you whether or not you agree or whether you'd like to stick to your own thing. At least you have options.
I agree. And as Ellie said, we're not here to offend any people. We're here to question things, and questioning things. As they said, a wise person does not need to know all the answers, but will ask more questions to obtain
Yes.
more information and wisdom. And we don't want to offend anybody. If in the event that we do, then sa Tagalog, pasintabi naman po, bato-bato sa langit. Huwag naman sanang magalit.
Yes, exactly. But you're welcome to voice out your opinions and we can thresh it out. We can discuss it even more because I love discussions. They really bring out different perspectives. And even for me, right? I might be so set in stone about my opinion and then all of a sudden somebody makes some comment and I'm like, oh nga no.
Yeah.
Diba? And
Yeah.
that's how we discover and that's how we kind of bring clarity.
Yeah, I can attest to that, where there are sometimes people that would be asking you questions, and these are innocent questions that for some people it may seem as if it's an affront or challenging you at something. But
Yes.
sometimes, and most of the time, I see Ellie she does not take the hard stance and fight with that person, but there's a discussion. Sabi ko,
Yes.
ganito sana, it should be like this in public fora, in discussions, in conventions, no? And even in interviews inside or outside the Senate or Quadcom. Oops.
Sana. Wish ko lang.
So anyway, I'm here because there was a particular posting on the biohacking group about a certain news of another type of virus. We say the word?
Yes.
Another type of virus coming in. And I said, okay, I was reading the article. It was so confusing because there was a line there that says, may cause short-term memory, may affect the short-term memory, but may be permanent, which confused me to no end. So here come the other followers and listeners, maybe even learners. We can call them learners, asking all these questions. And me as a person, because my podcast is about helping people find calm, when I saw that, it disturbed me. So I said, what if my followers, my friends, my family, people I know and love, read this and also get disturbed like me, but at some level or at some deeper level that will not give them a good night's sleep. So I had to ask Ellie.
Right. And it's something called, I don't know how to pronounce it, diatoms or something
Diatoms.
like that. Is that how you say it? Diatoms?
I just read that also, yeah.
Yeah, I've never heard of it before, but apparently there are med students that have heard of it because they learned about it in school.
That's right.
But it's one of those things. It's not different from a virus because what they define a virus as is you can't see it. It's invisible. It's practically diba microscope. You can't feel it, but it's there. And this is like another one of those. Oh, it's a foreign invader. It's a pathogen, and it can cause harm. So the symptoms are puking, diarrhea, and then short-term memory loss. And people, when they start to read that, like it kind of instilled some sort of trepidation in you, diba? And also a lot of other people who were clueless and they read it. This is like headlines in Facebook feed, malaking, block letters, and people are sharing it and everything. And it's enough to cause fear because it's like, what is that? People don't understand. They don't know what that is and what the implications are. So what does that mean for me? It's like, it's everywhere. I can't see it na naman. And it's going to cause, indigestible morsel, which we call indigestible. And I'll get into that. It'll cause puking and all of that. Diba? So, ayan, fear na naman. And when enough people read this and they have the fear in them, the psyche perceives it to be something that they are not in control of, or they believe they don't have the resources to
Mm.
overcome this particular diatoms because nobody knows what it is,
Yeah.
diba? So they could actually fulfill the symptoms,
Yeah. It's like a
diba?
self-fulfilling prophecy that
It's a self-fulfilled prophecy.
yan na naman, deja vu, 2020 March. No?
Oo.
Okay.
Correct. And we're gonna get into March 2020 also.
Mm.
But see, the brilliant thing about this is I'm not sure if the mainstream media knows about how the human psyche works.
Mm.
Is that you implant some sort of notion or suggestion about something being harmful for you. They believe people will easily believe it, and it's something called nocebo, where you believe something is bad for you. And
Nocebo.
if they start nocebo, yeah, which is the kabaliktaran of placebo, diba?
Placebo.
Placebo, you think it's it's good
Good.
for me, and therefore it will be. Nocebo, it will cause me harm, and therefore it will.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. So the psyche is very sensitive. The psyche was put there and evolved with us for billions of years for one reason only. It's our antenna for safety or danger. That's
Mm.
all it does. Is it safe? Is it dangerous? Diba? And it implants this nanosecond memory about tracks where it doesn't have to learn anything new because it implants, memories from before, so that as soon as you are exposed to some dangerous item, the body will have its defense mechanisms up
Mm.
already. So it's brilliant that way,
Mm.
but it also can, work against us.
Well, speaking of mainstream media, when you said we were wondering if they don't know about the human psyche,
Yeah.
it's impossible to imagine that because they're also the ones that create images. Like I'll use a particular
Yeah.
childhood memory where you watch one horror movie, and to my
Yes.
person, that would be Salem Slot. If you remember that
Oh
movie.
my gosh. I remember
Remember
that.
that? Now,
So yeah.
because of that, for months I could not look into a window.
Oh
Remember
my
that
God.
scene?
Yeah. The thing.
Yeah.
Nosferatu, whatever, with a
Oh,
double fang.
right. So that
My God.
in itself is a formula. I think it's a
Yes.
formula for them to use for whatever purpose. No, I'm not saying it's evil or for whatever uh, agenda that they have, but it's hard for me
Yeah.
to imagine that mainstream media does not know that.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And
Mm.
you bring up such a great point because parents are so clueless, but horror movies can create conflicts in a child.
Mm.
It can create conflicts from what we know. It can create constellations conflicts known as asthma, which is a territorial fear. It can create conflicts such as which is actually the asthma and the flying constellation.
Flying constellation.
Yeah. Oo. And a lot of other conflicts that parents are not aware of.
Mm.
And in the 80s, we could only watch them whenever we have Betamax or DVD,
Yeah,
diba? Dati, it wasn't everywhere.
that's right.
Ngayon, you just click on YouTube or whatever, you'll
Yeah,
see all of these scary footages from people's door cameras and whatever of ghosts and things and
that's right.
cryptids and all of that.
Yeah.
And it's not censored. And you'll see shadow people and all of that. So now there's so many kids that are scared
Yeah.
because it might be lurking in their in their rooms or whatever. That's why it's actually a real thing. The psyche, we have to take care of our kid's psyche. I have a kid client. She's 5 years old, and she was watching. The parents were just in the hotel. They were on vacation, ganyan. And the parents were watching a thriller, and it was Barilan.
Mm.
And then, of course, there were people that died. And then there were loud noises.
Right.
And she thought it was real. The kid thought it was real. And she was freaking out and she was crying. And, she did not get over it for a week. and she got scared of going outside the door. At the end of the day, she got the flu, really bad flu.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it's like, my gosh, what was it? And you would think, oh, nothing, wala.
Yeah.
But
We take these
no,
things for granted, no? But
take it for
to
granted.
that little child, it was
Yeah,
event, a core memory, if you will, that will stick.
exactly. At that age, we knew it was a movie because there was another, like a commercial or something. Something came out, a trailer maybe with Barilan, and then she had another a reaction to it. So we knew it was a track to that movie. The thing is, kasi not all kids will react that way, diba? Not
Right.
all kids will react that way.
Mm.
So it depends on the psyche of the child. If they're already sensitive, then they will react in a way that is more sensitive compared to other kids who are like, that's
Yeah.
fun, that's not real, and dad loves it, kind of thing. So depende then.
Yeah. But I'm
Diba?
also thinking that mainstream media, and they do this maybe unwittingly or without any agenda. But
Yeah.
the thing
Yeah.
is, bad news sells. Di ba?
Oo
Alam,
eh.
alam na natin eh. That everything that's bad versus something that's good, like somebody helped a community recover from the ravages of a typhoon or an earthquake, that gets less
Oo.
news, sadly.
Yeah, true.
But
Yeah.
this person that would spread a rumor about a certain perpetrator or groups of people that would do harm, or
Right.
maybe a set of virus that would come, it sells. No?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, and that's so interesting because we talk about this in a course that we call Shinpo that we
Info.
recently had, and Shinpo is based on ancient Japanese teachings, and it's very close to Zen teachings, and it's very close to Stoicism,
Hmm.
law of attraction, and all of that. And one of the first days that the Shinpo Sensei told us was, go and get a newspaper if you can find one, because it's so hard to find newspaper in print right now, right? But go and find one if you can,
Hmm.
and just with a red marker mark all the bad news that you can see, all the pages, look at them, turn the pages, and with a marker just all of the bad news. Wow, the whole thing was red. Maybe
Might
there are
as,
like a few
might as well dip it
sources.
in red paint.
I know everything is red.
God.
Yeah, there's no such thing as good news. Good newspaper, wala. Ganon. Diba? Yeah. So it's interesting. But I think it also is up to the parents. Because I remember my parents, King Kong came out, I forget, 1976 maybe,
77, I remember that. Yeah.
77. Oh, yun. So with
I may
Jessica
be wrong.
Lange.
People, you can Google it and tell us, write us on the
Oo.
comments of Ellie's uh, Facebook page. Kung tama. Pero 76 or 77?
Oo, mga ganyan, di ba?
Uh,
Oo. So I was 4 or 5 years old if it
right.
was 76,
Mm.
77. And they took me to watch it at that age in the cinema, this Jessica Lang. And I
Right.
remember it
Yes.
so much. I was like, my God, what is that big thing? And it's gonna kill her. I was so scared.
Yeah.
And then I remember that I made kalabit my mom. It's like, Mom, can you hold me? I need to be with you. I need to sit on your lap. Ganyan.
Yeah.
And then my dad got mad kasi parang syempre, they cannot make cariño each other, diba? If I'm there. I remember at 4 or 5 years old, it was like a core memory. And it might have been one of those earlier episodes or earlier life events that could have caused my asthma. Could have. Maybe, I'm not sure. But there's another event at 7 years old that I think really caused it. But that's a core memory. I still remember it. Oops, my
So
cat's
asthma,
here.
talking about asthma in front of Ellie right now, because if you're not listening to this with video, only on audio, there's a big, beautiful white cat crossing doon sa mikropono ni Ellie, and she's not
Yeah.
having an asthma attack right now because the cat is hypoallergenic. I would presume, no, but asthma is a fear reaction. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, it is. And actually, there's no such thing as hypoallergenic. You are not allergic to a cat's dander, or you're not allergic at all to the cat, period.
Oh.
What you're allergic to is what the cat reminds your subconscious of. which is interesting. There's no such thing as allergies because most likely before you became allergic, you were not allergic to cats,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
You were not allergic to cats, and you probably won't remember it, but there were cats around, and you didn't have a reaction
Right.
until all of a sudden there was some sort of perceived traumatic, distressful event by a young child, which is likely everything. Even when mom, gets mad at you or
You get
like
startled. Yeah.
diba, you get spanked or whatever. Ay, nako, that's like a big trauma and a big D trauma now for a kid. And when that's happening, the cat brushes your leg. And then the subconscious anchors the trauma to the cat. And now the cat becomes a reminder that, hey, the last time there was a cat, you were in danger.
There you go.
Therefore, the nervous system will respond and the defense mechanism will come out, which means that you can desensitize yourself from the cat. You can desensitize the brain from making the cat an anchor to distress, which is brilliant because I did it. I was always allergic to dogs. I love dogs so much. But there was a time when I was not allergic to dogs because I remember we had a big Dalmatian. I was 3 or 4. I was okay with it.
Right.
Never really had a reaction. But there came a time where when my dogs would kiss me, we had so many dogs, I would get pantal on the face and I would wheeze. Parang anaphylactic reaction talaga.
Yeah.
And then I'd get asthma and everything. And I don't know why that would happen. I love them so much. Then all of a sudden, in 2014, I did Buteyko breathing. I don't know if you've ever heard of Buteyko breathing.
Yeah. I took Dr. Charles' class.
There you go. Yes, perfect.
Mm.
Yeah, and I took it from his mentor, Jack Vision. That time he was still alive. And I did it for asthma. But lo and behold, it also balanced my brain around dog dander allergy. That all of a sudden it was Christmas and we were in some cabin in Baguio and there was a Labrador. The Labrador came up to me and kissed me. I had no reaction after decades of having a reaction. And I thought, my gosh, the body is amazing. Allergies, it doesn't have to be forever. There are ways
Right.
to balance your brain around it.
I mean, that would have been a definite trigger because the coat of the Labrador is almost as thick as the Dalmatian's coat. Almost, diba? So that would have been a trigger, but it was not.
No, it wasn't. And my trigger is also the dander. When they lick you and everything.
Right.
As soon as they lick me,
right,
I'll get hives before talaga. But I love them, so I can't resist. So I'll go through it anyway. And that was 2014, and until now, wala, zero. My brain is completely balanced around.
Did you ever get around the memory of why that happened, how that happened?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't remember. It must have been when I was very, very young, maybe 7, 8 years old or something. I must have encountered some sort of trauma where a dog was there right beside me.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Kind of don't remember anymore. But what I do remember is not being able to breathe whenever they were around. So now it's like, voila, zero. And so the message to everybody out there is that there's no such thing as allergies and there's no such thing as chronic. There's just a constant relapsing or reminder, what we call in Germanische Heilkunde or Germanic healing knowledge, we call them tracks. So tracks, the railroad tracks, right?
I can now imagine the allergologists clicking away on their keyboards and say, no.
I know, that's the thing. I know. But we want to help everybody.
I know,
right?
I know. That's why, Ellie, please tell everyone that you're holding a class on GHK.
Yes, I'm actually holding it.
I'm going to attend that. It's going to be in between celebrations because it's on the 20th. Please tell us the date.
Yes, December 27 to 29.
So in gitna ng Pasko at Medianoche ng Bagong Taon, di ba? So walang dahilan na hindi mag-attend. I'll be attending that, Ellie.
Yay! Awesome, yeah.
That's live ba or online?
It's live. My teacher is, he's an internet Sasquatch.
Okay.
So we know he exists but he will only
The
show
little
himself.
Sasquatch. I have an image of a Sasquatch, big white guy. All right.
Yes, we know he exists, but
Uh-huh.
he will only make pakita when he wants.
Oh,
When he
wow.
wants you to see him.
That's
So he
Enigma
doesn't.
personified.
Yes, exactly. Which is
Wow.
why we love him. Because he's doing it for the love of teaching.
Oh.
GHK. It's not to get be an influencer or to.
So on the 27th and
Okay, sorry
29th,
about
the internet Sasquatch you were talking about, he'll be there.
Yes, yes. My teacher, who is the greatest teacher of this work, who speaks English,
Okay.
and he speaks how many languages? Yeah, but he is the direct student of no, Dr. Hammer.
Dr. Hammer.
He was of
He's
the
German.
founder.
I presume he's German also.
I never knew you could treat depression symptoms from your phone. But with this prescription app called Rejoin, it's possible. It's for adults aged 22 and up with major depressive disorder who want to add to their antidepressant medication. And get this, it's the first and only prescription app authorized by the FDA to treat depression symptoms. Rejoin does not replace your current medication. Be sure to use as directed by your healthcare provider. And if your depression symptoms worsen, seek help immediately. Get started today by talking to your healthcare provider or visiting meetrejoin.com. That's meet, REJOYN.com.
He's German, yeah,
Right.
but he's based in Croatia. And he's coming over to teach whatever I want him to teach, which is, of course, what's near and dear to my heart: children's mood and behavioral disorders, pregnancy conflicts,
Yeah.
and then, of course, constellations, mental illnesses, what you call schizophrenic constellations, anxiety, depression, and manic depression, bipolarity. And then, of course, the basics. So all three will be jam packed with
And all three will be
information.
focusing on children. No, I take it that you will be focusing on developmental needs of children
Yes.
in the context of GHK or Germanic New Medicine.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Germanic healing knowledge.
Germanic healing knowledge.
It's not wrong. It's not wrong to call it GNM or German New Medicine or Germanic New Medicine, because for decades it was that. And then Dr. Hammer kind of changed it to Germanische Heilkunde.
Yeah.
Right before he died, it was already that version, because he wanted to be true to what it stands for, what he stands for, which is the Germanic Heilkunde of freedom, because the Germanic tribes kind of lived with nature by nature's laws,
Yeah.
amongst each other together. Like there was no ruler. There was a creed that they were following, they adhered to, but there was no real king or sovereign or monarch. They would elect a leader for a war, and after the war they would all be equal. They would all just live amongst each other again, kind of thing.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is real information or just imagined
Mhm.
history, that King Arthur was actually came from the Germanic tribes.
Oh, really?
Maybe that's why he has that round table. But I am conjecturing because I heard that. I
Yeah.
might have misheard it, but everyone can Google it and
We
find
can,
out.
yeah.
Because the idea of having a leader that does not posture as a leader but
Right.
leads is
Diba?
something. That's the very personification of what a leader should be.
Yeah, I
Diba?
think so. Because the leaders eat last, diba? They
Yeah.
serve.
Simon Sinek. Yeah.
Yes, I love that book.
Fantastic.
Most likely he could have been, because the Germanic tribes, they kind of migrated. They came north of the Roman Empire,
Yeah.
and they migrated for food and whatever. The weather wasn't so good in the like Iceland and all that. It was the Scandinavia area. It was too cold, so they migrated down. And they no they went everywhere. They went to England, they went to
Yeah.
Amsterdam, France, the Gauls,
The
Germans,
Gauls.
all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they moved around.
So
So
let's
for
not
sure.
look far, because the royal family, the House of Windsor, they're Germans, aren't they?
Yeah,
Di ba?
But could be, yeah, definitely in the
The
veins, probably.
ancestry that's German.
Yeah, the ancestry, because this goes
Anyway,
way back.
we digress.
I know. Sorry, we could talk
But
so
no,
much about it. I know. I
there's a
know.
lot to talk about now. I'm
Yeah.
all, you know me, Ellie. I'm all about calm. So when I saw that post again, I'll bring it
Yes.
back there. And then you explained it in such a fashion where everyone felt okay. Um, at least for me, I felt
Yeah.
pacified, or at least brought
Good.
back to my center. What about the other people that need to listen to this? And these types of people are the ones that would say, that's not science. That's not medical science. That's not what we learned in UP, UST, or other medical schools. No, what do
Yeah.
we say to them?
Is to take everything with a large grain of salt. Whatever you read on the newspaper, there's some sort of intention agenda. In fact, I tracked headlines
Mm,
during the 2020 to 2022
yeah,
event, and you'll see quite a trend there,
yeah,
and it's amazing. But it doesn't veer far away from, if you ever took NLP,
yeah,
maybe you
yeah.
did, no?
I did.
Hypnosis or autosuggestion.
Mm.
That's exactly what's happening.
That's the
Autosuggestion,
hook.
that's a hook, diba? I mean, it's like NLP, it's like neuro linguistic programming. It's like it hits the subconscious and you don't know what hit you, right? Unless you're the one doing it, or unless you're hyper aware of the languaging.
Yeah.
Diba? But if you look at, I believe, is it Emile Coué, or yeah, anyway, one of the early 20s, the autosuggestion,
Mhm.
what he said was that the imagination is greater than the will. The imagination is greater than the will. So
Totally.
if you closed your eyes and you imagine, let's just look at VR.
Yeah.
It's the best example in
Virtual
the world.
reality. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're wearing VR
Yeah.
goggles,
Mhm.
and you are like in between the twin towers. You're doing a walk, and that's what you see in VR. But
Yeah.
you know very well you're in your bedroom,
Yeah. Playing with
right?
a video game or whatever it is.
Yeah, flat on your floor,
Right.
and you will feel the fear, because the imagination is greater than the will. You want to go, you want to walk it, but you are scared like crazy because of the imagination. And what is being suggested, that's left to your imagination, but they kind of suggested it, diba? Now
Yeah.
there are these things, diatoms, that you can't see. They're microscopic, they're algae or something like that.
Right.
You can't see, and they're in your water. They didn't say yet that it's in your water.
Mm.
But I bet you, if they said, "Oh, it's in your water," ayun na. And what else did they say? It's in your water, and you might experience vomiting or diarrhea, right? And what is that? What is that? And for sure, people will have the symptoms. So when we look at Germanic healing knowledge, so, by the way, Germanic healing knowledge was founded by Dr. Ricke Gerdhammer, German doctor. He was an internist, founded in 1981, studied 60,000 CT scans, and collated the work. And at the end of it all, he found out all the psychobiological root causes of all physical conditions. So, all cancers, all mental illnesses, chronic diseases, autoimmune, even the common cold, zits, toe fungus, everything, periodontitis, lahat. So when we look at a vomiting symptom or a diarrhea, that's of course related to digestive organs.
Mm.
And what do the organs do? They digest,
Yeah.
right? They digest morsels. So a morsel, the body doesn't know a food morsel from a figurative morsel. So a figurative morsel could be a life morsel, could be money, and it could be a life situation that you can't digest.
Mm.
No, in a life situation you can't digest, it could be like your dad telling you that he has another family. It's
Oh,
like, what? I can't digest that. All of a sudden you get stomachache.
yeah.
It's like your organs I just want to digest it for you,
Yeah.
but you can't.
Mm.
And so it hurts. So when they say, oh yeah, the diatoms are in your water, it's like, oh my gosh, I can't digest this. I can't accept that my water or the water I'm drinking, my kids' water, they're contaminated.
Yeah.
So what's gonna happen? Either puking or diarrhea. Diarrhea most likely can happen if you stop drinking water or you stop eating altogether because you're like, it's contaminated. I might get sick. And then you do.
That's clearly autosuggestion.
It is, isn't it? Imagination is greater than the will.
I mean, psychologists who are listening to us right now will totally agree. But being also in the field where there's also the medical component to it, uh,
Yes.
let's take them as an example. How conflicted can they be?
The interesting thing about these is that people always just look at or focus on how many people got symptoms.
Mm.
But they never ever take into account the people who are not getting the symptoms. They're most likely living in the same household as you.
That's right. So you
The
just slap them
same
the
pool.
magnifying glass and tell them, look, 20 people got this in one day, but there are 2 million that did not get it, right?
Exactly.
Context.
Yeah. And then drive it even more deeply. It's like, so what's the variable? Why did they get it and these other people didn't? And it's like people are saying, kasi ang lakas ng resistensya niyan eh. Nagja-jogging yan kasi araw-araw tapos nagbibitamina, ganyan.
Yeah.
But if you look at everybody, not everybody looks like your, mainstream healthy person.
Right.
Well, this person is like, smoking every day and drinking beer and eating makto.
Mm.
But he didn't get it. Diba? So we have to start asking these questions. And they're the common sense. Diba? They're common sense. But people just let it slide. People are so caught up in what's in the news and what's on mainstream media. But we have to know that it's orchestrated. There's an intention and an agenda. Yeah. And I would even be bold enough to say that if you stop reading newspapers or mainstream media, if you stop following them, you'd be in perfect health.
Oh, I have taken that advice from you about 2 years ago, maybe 3.
Yes.
Now all I watch and listen to is Conan O'Brien. That's it.
I love him. Oh, he's so
That's it,
funny.
Ellie. And I'm fine. I had several bouts with gout several months ago, but yun pala, supplement deficiency lang. I just took magnesium, omega, vitamin D3 and K2. That's it. It was fixed.
Yeah.
And then I took out the fear of things that rocks me off my center.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we can talk about gout. That's another episode altogether, what it is,
Yeah.
diba? Yeah, but so again, imagination is greater than the will. So you can imagine how we can orchestrate if we can, create that in a city by just, the local newspaper saying, oh yeah, Pasig's water is contaminated. So that's just, relegated to just people in Pasig.
Yeah.
But if you say that the whole world's water system or whatever food system or air is contaminated by these diatoms that you can't see, right? What that causes, the imagination of people.
That's scarier than watching that floating carcass in the window, like the one in Salem. That's scarier.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And then, to add to that, it's interesting kasi you'll see Netflix kasabay niya. If there's something, if there's something happening in the zeitgeist, let's say whatever, elections or whatever, Netflix will have stuff about politics. We'll have more movies about politics.
Right.
Ganyan.
Right.
But during the 2020 to 2022 event,
Yep.
there were all contagion, lumalabas, epidemic,
Right.
World War Z, ganyan, yan ang lumalabas.
They
the one
run
in-
it
the
on
one
loop.
Yeah, on loop. So the one in the 80s with Rene Russo and Dustin
Yeah.
Hoffman.
Outbreak.
Outbreak. Yeah.
That was, I think, in the early 90s. I
In the
remember.
early 90s. Yeah. Oh, yan. Lumalabas rin yan. Di ba? It's interesting. If you're hyper aware, oh man, they scream loudly.
So
It's
that you're saying, when for you to become at least a fraction of being hyper aware, you should steer clear and not be in the face of the actual news that's happening, or the news that they write and show on social media and TV, if they still watch TV at all. No?
yeah. Only if you still believe that viruses exist. Absolutely.
Well, I have a neighbor. She's Amarites. And behind her back, we call her Virus. So I think it operates on the same plane.
yeah,
Diba?
exactly.
She's a contagious person. She would. Oh, there.
I hope she's not listening, or maybe you want her to listen. I don't know.
Oh, she'll find out. She listens to this. It's you we're talking about, Tita.
Oh gosh, you're so funny. And I think, if you look at the word virus, even the word virus was very carefully selected. I believe it means poison. The etiology, I believe, I'm not sure, but it means poison. So even just the notion of poison, going around, and it will inflict you, kind of thing. Diba?
Poison.
Yeah, poison.
Yeah.
So, for people like us who know that viruses do not exist, and we're desensitized, we don't really care. If we read headlines, we just laugh.
Mm.
It's just ayan na naman sila, 'di ba? And they kept trying. They kept trying to change the headlines. So we were tracking the headlines. And I hope it's okay to talk about this, but we were tracking the headlines between December 2021 and February to April 2022, the elections, 'di ba? That
Yeah.
time.
Right.
And we were tracking the headlines of the names of the viruses and
Oh,
the symptoms of the people.
right.
Again, imagination is greater than the will.
Will.
And so the power of suggestion, when the headlines say it is very contagious, but the symptoms are very mild,
Right.
guess what happens? The symptoms are very mild, but
Right.
everybody's getting it.
Right. Right.
Suggestion.
I got it that time when they were saying it.
Right? Right.
Twice.
Yes, exactly. Because you think it's everywhere, patay
Right.
contagious. I mean,
Right.
Mega Mall. Nako, it's here.
Right.
I have it, pero mild siya. So
Yeah.
you're not that scared.
And I have a
Diba?
friend who said, "Yeah, you got the variant. No, you got the flu. No, I got the variant. It says there in the test. No, you got the flu."
Right.
And he was,
Exactly.
I don't know whether he was saying it tongue in cheek or he was mocking me at the same time.
Oo.
So, malamang tama nga siya.
Oo. Right. Yeah. Okay. So the interesting thing was the time during the elections, and the headlines would say, wala na. Wala na, medyo mababa ng cases, ganyan. And then the frequency also of talking about, because at the time, you would see nothing but the virus, right? And then at the time, siguro the intervals would be every 2 days, 3 days, they'd report cases. Kumukonti na, mababa na, ganyan. And then they were saying, I think it's already, we're gonna lift the lockdown now. We're gonna make it, I forget, GCQ or something like that, or even more pa, even more open.
Right.
Oo. Kasi it was the elections na in February.
There were different nomenclatures and titles for it. Yeah.
Yeah. True enough, nobody was getting sick that time. Yeah. And it's so interesting that they said that COVID will come back after elections. Sorry, did I have to say it? Anyway, that C virus would come back after elections. And this was I believe it was March.
Oh.
And then they said, it will come back after April or something like that.
It's as if COVID said, "Now I'm taking a vacation. This election is too stressful. I'm leaving. I'm gonna take
Yeah.
a hike, and then coming back once you elect the people that you need to get elected. I'm coming back." And it
Yeah.
did. It did, but it came out weaker because it was more
Right.
chill. Of course, galing sa bakasyon eh. So,
Right. Yes, exactly. But it's so interesting. I mean, I hope people understand how it can happen because nga imagination. I could be very well wrong about this.
right,
I'm just seeing it from my perspective, and
right.
it could somebody else could see it a different way. But that's how I saw it. And
Yeah.
as somebody who never ever got COVID, I never got it
Oh, yeah.
ever.
I know. You told me never.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never got it. For somebody who never got it, I was just
Right.
sitting there observing the
Yeah.
chaos that people were running like headless chickens.
Well, I was able to have a conversation with you before I got it the first time and then the second time, and it
Yeah.
felt like just a bad cold. Not,
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, there was body pains, but like you would in any bad cold. But that was it. Nothing
Uh-uh.
spectacular. That I speak for myself. Maybe the others have felt a little bit more intense than how I felt it because they
Yes.
the element of fear. Imagination is stronger than will.
Right. And it depends on the psyche of the person. That person could be like a little bit of a slightly more hypochondriacal than you.
Right.
So even, the same headlines would land more deeply compared to you,
Yeah.
or something. So it's very unique, very bio individual.
Yeah.
Diba? And also the thing to note is that not everybody had body pain.
Yeah.
Only,
Totoo.
diba?
Yeah.
Some people had sore throat, some people didn't.
I had sore throat, more of the sore throat, very minimal body pains. I
Yeah.
well, the strangest thing was maybe this is connected to my psyche. Tell me, Ellie. I
Yeah.
had annoying dreams. Like I was having dreams that were on loop. It was repeat, 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 repeat. I was so annoyed when I woke up. Parang I had to wake myself up and say, I get it, I understand. But it's a
Oh,
senseless sequence, a dream sequence, but it kept on looping. What was that
yeah.
about?
I mean, that's interesting because dreams are hello Freud, diba? Hello
Yeah,
lucid
well, yeah.
dreaming.
And the
Yeah.
interesting thing is my brother also had that same thing.
What? Same dream or just the
Same,
same
no, not
annoying?
the same dream. I said it's the dream is like it's on loop. Weird.
Ah,
But I had the
yeah.
same thing. Do you understand what it meant? At tinanong ko, naintindihan mo ba? Hindi nga eh. Kaya nga ako naasar eh. Ako rin naasar eh. Sabi niya, so,
Were
it was,
you the subject of the dream?
no. In fact, we couldn't even remember what the dream was
Ah,
about.
you couldn't.
But it felt
Interesting.
like it was on loop.
Oh, interesting.
Weird.
Yeah. So this is another part of biohacking that we love, which is lucid dreaming. Diba? Because
Mm.
we really understand that dreams are a big part of the subconscious.
Yes.
Diba? And in fact, the masters like Dali and who else? Was it Edison? They would use lucid dreaming. They would make themselves sleep. They call it the genius gap.
Mm.
And they would make themselves sleep in the afternoon. And they would have a coin in the hand,
Mhm.
in one of the hands, and then a metal plate right underneath on the floor, where the coin would drop. And they would make themselves sleep. And then when they got into too deep a sleep, the coin would drop and that would wake them up.
Oh, wow.
So they're trying to get into that brain wave, which would most likely be theta before delta. So
That's
alpha
deeper than
theta,
alpha. Deeper than alpha, no?
deeper than alpha, yeah.
Oh.
So it's beta, alpha, theta, delta. So when they get into theta, that's when they kind of get into that space where they can create. It's creativity. Diba? Some people would say divine consciousness, but that's actually gamma.
Yeah.
But anyway, they would get their best ideas from this brainwave state, alpha theta. And in fact, supposedly, Edison was able to get the idea of the light bulb from one of those states.
Wow.
And Dali, also his images, diba, his surreal
Salvador Dali.
Salvador Dali, yeah, his surreal images came from that state, that brain state. So you can actually steer that power
Mm.
No, that it's largely untapped. But okay, to go back to what you were talking about, the brain in sleep is always trying to fix whatever conflicts you have.
Mm.
So it tries to uncouple deeply disturbing emotions that you experience during the day or whenever
Mm.
from an event.
Mm.
So that when you wake up, you feel fresh, you feel brand new. It's like I slept it off and I feel really good.
Right.
So it's the brain's task to prune out all of those memories that you don't need anymore,
Mm.
and also to recharge the body, but so that you resurrect a new person. But there's some conflicts, or there's sometimes where maybe you don't sleep well enough, or you didn't get enough deep sleep or enough REM,
Mm.
that it's not able to, and it every night it keeps trying to work it out,
Mm.
and it
Lucid
just can't.
dreaming, yeah.
Yeah, lucid might not be lucid yet, because
Not no, because it's lucid is when you
lucid,
have control over it.
yeah, and
It's
when
somewhat, yeah,
you would remember
yeah,
lucid, like you would remember it 20 years from now, because it's like the most brilliant experience in the world. It's basically, you're dreaming, but you're in it, and you can see, feel, hear everything.
yeah,
You can make yourself fly. You can, I don't know, it's
yeah.
just
Dreams of
amazing.
flying, I remember very clearly.
Ah, okay, flying up or flying down?
Flying up.
Okay, so you're more manic. Yeah.
Oh, am I?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Oo.
Wow.
That doesn't mean you're, this mental state. It's just
Right.
really a brain state, manic,
Yeah.
depressive.
Yeah.
So it depends
Oh,
on,
those two. Okay.
yeah, yeah. So if manic is like the masculine hemisphere on the right, and feminine hemisphere is more depressive. So we're basically just really describing the traits of masculinity and
Okay.
femininity.
All right.
And we, as men and women, we actually transfer from either hemisphere depending on conflicts. So when we have flying dreams, you're actually in something called the flying constellation, which a lot of us have.
Mm.
And the flying constellation is a brain state where it's, of course, it is created by a couple of conflicts, and they face lock each other, and then it steps into that particular frequency called the flying constellation, and it's a survival state. It allows you to levitate above the trauma or conflict. And so for little kids, it could be anything, right? So it could be Salem slot. It could be you falling into the pool, or it could be watching a scary movie or whatever that could cause your flying constellation. So it really depends. But a lot of us have flying constellation. A lot of us have flying dreams. A lot of us love to fly in airplanes.
Yeah.
Diba? We're enamored of flight. All of these people with the drones and the gliders and all of that. We are all flyers, really. And flyers are also the ones that have great intuition. They see ghosts, the paranormal. They see synesthesia. They hear colors. All of these. So it's different degrees, but more or less the flying constellation.
I agree with you. I've many dreams lately of seeing strangers' faces.
Oh, interesting.
People I don't know, haven't met, but it's as if I'm
Yeah.
there.
Oh,
Sometimes a group of people staring at me,
oh, wow.
all strangers.
Have you looked at what Freud, or even the dream interpretation? What
Oh, the book
yeah,
is
what it,
classic. No, I haven't.
oh,
I haven't. But you could look at it at several perspectives. Maybe from the spiritual perspective. Since I'm Catholic, I was told that you have to pray for these souls. Fine, check.
yeah,
I can
yeah.
do that. Yeah, I can do that. In fact, I gladly do that because I believe in that.
Yes, yes.
In that, and then psychology or more scientific approaches would tell me that there are certain conflicts that I have that I
Yeah,
have to resolve with people or instances or representations of people that I need to make peace with.
true.
It's still
Yes.
abstract for me, but so I'll just take the Catholic interpretation. They say,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But another interpretation might be this is biogenealogy or
mm,
whatever. It could be your ancestors wanting
oh
to
wow,
deliver a message or
yeah,
something to you that's crucial for the family line. or something like that.
Oh, wow.
You know what
I
you
haven't thought of
do?
that way. Yeah.
Yeah, before you go to bed, ask for a sign.
Mm.
You might not necessarily get it in your dream, but when you wake up, you might have an epiphany, like a word appears, a picture, image, whatever. Or during the day, you might hear a song or somebody say something
Yeah.
or someone's T-shirt,
I believe that. Yeah.
synchronicity, signs and
Right.
all. And ask them lang just to point me to a direction to where what do I need to do about this, or what do I need to know about it.
Wow. We've gone so deep with this discussion just
Oh
because
my
we were triggered by this funny
god.
article was written by that was written by a journalist, I would presume.
Yes. It's so funny. I know, maybe. Wala, you give me a keyword and I'll talk about it. And,
I know,
it's
I
like
know.
dreams. Uh-oh, let's go there.
I'm looking at the time right now. I don't want to keep Ellie, dear friends, and we we want you to want more.
Yeah, yeah. And
And
at the end of the day, yeah, we
yeah,
want people to not be afraid of the headlines.
there you go.
Take
There
it
you
with a
go.
huge grain of salt.
Yeah, I told Ellie, I'm here also
Yeah.
for a rebroadcast of this after several weeks that you post this. I will also
Uh-oh.
post this on Find Your Daily Calm, my podcast, because millions of people are also, I would presume millions of people. Maybe those are the faces that I see also in my dreams.
That's
Who
right.
knows?
Another theory.
Another theory. But we're here to make sure that you understand, seek more information, and have healthy discussions, not arguments, not fights, not tantrums over you being the authority in science and us being peasants in the scientific world. No, it's a
Yeah.
healthy discussion, and I'm grateful, Ellie, that you invited me to this chat.
Oh, thank you also. And also I wanted to say that parang I walk my talk. I
I know.
wouldn't be so bold about this if I weren't my own success story or testimonial. I never got COVID.
Yeah.
And I have not gotten any. I've gotten a 6-hour cold. I've gotten stiff neck. I know exactly where they're from. Gotten sacroiliac lumbar joint pain,
Oh,
but I've never really gotten the flu or whatever or any illness like that because I know exactly how it triggers. And maybe we should tell people what it is, 'di ba? Para they're self-aware. And I kind of saw Pepito typhoon. I
yeah.
kind of saw it as a potential trigger for a very small epidemic, maybe not a big one, but people might have the flu after, 'di ba?
Not until the real mother that she is, Shera Madre, says enough.
Yeah, exactly.
Diba?
Exactly. Galing,
That's
right?
nature telling us enough. That's too much already. So,
Ang dami, apat. But then, kasi, so yun, that's the thing,
I
di
mean,
ba?
in terms of
The
the news that
actual,
they're spreading. No?
oo, correct. Thank you. Yes, thank you.
Mm,
Oo. So, kasi there were 4 typhoons, di ba? Since 1951, it never happened. So, it's
right.
like, wow, that already instills fear in people.
Yeah.
Di ba? 3 weeks, it's already been what? 2 typhoons and then there are 2 more coming. So, my gosh, people are scared about it.
Yeah.
And when we look at the flu, in Germanische Heilkunde, we call it's a territorial fear conflict. So a territorial fear is fear for my territory, fear for the safety of my home, my loved ones, my family, fear for losing my job,
Oh,
diba?
of course.
Fear of being able to roam
Right.
around my vicinity, which the typhoon can very well threaten all of the above.
And it did. It happened in the Bicol region. It was heavily hit. Yeah.
Exactly,
It happened.
exactly. And it's happened to us before, and
Right.
we've seen the ravages of so many typhoons. But it's common also with what happened between 2020 and 2022 because we actually lost all of it, all of the above,
Yeah.
right?
That's right.
Literally, we lost our loved ones, we lost our jobs, our businesses, we lost our territory. We
Yeah.
weren't able to even go to Mega Mall or anywhere. We couldn't even jog outside without being arrested. People in a private condo in Dasma Forbes weren't even allowed to walk around the swimming pool. They were arrested. Imagine. So, looking at that, it's a territorial fear.
It is.
Yeah. So,
Territorial fear.
the thing about this is that it's reverse. When you get the flu, it's already the body healing itself. The body is putting itself back together, back to homeostasis. And to do that as fast as possible, it needs to be drastic, it needs to hurt, needs to be uncomfortable, there needs to be inflammation and swelling, period. There needs to be bacteria, mucus, all of that, blood, whatever. So you will notice people will get the flu after a typhoon.
Yes.
Diba?
Yeah. Oh.
Kasi wala na, tapos na. Okay, so now the body can heal. Okay. And also, people get, or kids get the flu when classes are out and Christmas vacation happens.
Yes.
Or the other way around, Christmas vacation ends and school starts. Depends on the kid. Diba? Depends on the kid.
Yeah.
Why? Because it's territorial. They fear for their territory. It's like, it's exams and my territory is parang, oh my gosh, I don't want to be in exams. I don't want to go through exam
Because I
week.
have no control over it.
Yeah. And I have to study and I might fail and and then finally, okay, last day of school, bakasyon, ayan, flu. Diba? People from vacation, they love their vacation so much and when it ends, they have to go back to work. They get home, flu. Or the other token is, oh, I can't wait for vacation. My vacation is next week. When you get to your vacation, flu.
So HR officers, don't take us wrong. Monday sickness is real,
Exactly.
but it starts out as an imagination.
Yes, it's an imagination, diba? But kasi you don't know that it triggers the conflict. There are no symptoms when it triggers. It happens beneath your awareness. Even I don't know when it triggers because that's our
Right.
psyche. It just perceives and that's it. Whatever danger, safety, ayon, trigger. And then bigla na lang, oh, I'm healing pala something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense because when a typhoon is coming, everyone's high on adrenaline, I would presume. Dahil
Right.
we're getting ready. Let's get ready for whatever can happen, and then once it's over, then we get the flu. We get the
Exactly. This is my analogy, although this is not a disease per se, but it's a second biological. It's a biological law that every program happens in two phases. The first phase is a conflict active phase, and then the second is the healing phase.
Mhm.
So during the conflict, like what you said, perfect. There's adrenaline, there's cortisol.
Mm.
You don't feel anything with adrenaline and cortisol, right?
No.
Because you have to run. So there's no pain.
Right.
If there's pain, you're dead.
Exactly.
Diba? The jaguar ate you.
Right.
But because you don't feel any pain and you're being pumped up, you have to run. So it's performance. So you really don't feel anything.
Right.
So it's the same thing like when you're working out in a gym
Mhm.
and you're tearing muscles and you're doing it, you don't feel anything. In fact, you love the endorphin rush.
Yeah.
Diba? It's so, and there's a little bit of maybe opioids there, the
Mhm.
natural opioids.
Yes,
It's like,
yes.
wow, I feel this because the body wants you to keep doing it
Right.
because it wants you to get stronger. Therefore, with the proper hormones in place, it will ensure that you will keep doing it so that you'll get stronger, right? So the body's nature is brilliant. And so during the day, you're fine until you reach nighttime. Nighttime is when healing phases come in.
Yeah.
Because why? Body's resting.
Right.
Diba? You're not using it.
Yeah.
So whenever we have a car that's sira, you don't use it, right? But it's only humans that use their bodies even if they're sick.
Right.
But when it's our car that's sira, it's like, don't use it. Pahinga mo na yan, ayusin mo yan. But it's the same thing with our bodies. At night, we don't use it. Therefore, all of our resources and energy will go to restoration, building the tears of the muscles, fixing whatever, detoxing, removing junk organelles. So basically, everything that needs to be fixed happens at night. This is the reason why you cough at night, you have night sweats at night,
Yeah.
fever, everything
Yeah.
comes at night.
Yeah.
Because that's when you can, that's the only time you can rebalance, restore, reorganize yourself. So your muscles that you worked out during the day, they hurt like anything at night because the body is repairing them. They're swelling because, the body heals in a fluid environment. So that's it, pansit. And it will be that way for a few days. So nature takes its time. So same thing for every biological program, for the cold, periodontitis, for toe fungus, whatever, everything, hives. There's a conflict active phase where you don't feel anything, but the conflict triggers because it responds to a psyche perception of some sort of distress. And depending on the conflict content or the distress that came about, whether it's a money distress, if it's news that you cannot accept, or you were jailed on unjust accusation, a particular organ will respond.
Yeah.
Okay. And then when you resolve the conflict, the psyche says, okay, resolved, done. Pretty much the same as, wala nang typhoon. Hi, I can breathe. Okay na. You got back money. Somebody paid for a big package.
Yeah.
Sigh. That's when the body will heal. And that's where you get sick, quote unquote. But for us, it's you're becoming whole again.
Fantastic.
So
I'm going back to that article where we saw sabay-sabay, and great many of us laughed at it.
Yes.
We were not laughing at the author. Maybe we were, but it was enough to laugh about. Maybe it was the adrenaline pumping us up to find humor as a perfect instrument to use up that adrenaline and excess energy. Maybe it's just a projection of an anger that we're projecting.
So like there you go.
We're talking about it 7 days after, which is the healing phase. Now we talk about it. We do a recap of how it felt.
Yeah, exactly. And the reason I talked about it and I posted it in the group is because somebody reposted it, reshared it, and there are so many shares. And that is exactly how it spreads, right? That's how it spreads. So enough people get sick, enough people not get sick, but get the conflict triggered, then there are cases, and then cases and more cases, and then the cases headline will create more cases. You know how that works? Imagination is greater than the will. Right? How
this
amazing.
Is a great takeaway. In fact, I wrote it down. That's a great episode title. Imagination is greater than the will.
Yeah.
We take it for granted. We just say it's a daydream lang yan. Nangangarap ka lang ng gising. But it's not. It's really, like as you said, Edison and Salvador Dali had that coin, which reminds us of the movie Inception, where that top.
That's lucid dreaming.
Exactly. That's almost akin to that coin of Edison and Dali.
Correct. That's exactly it.
Who's that? Si Deepak Chopra calls it the gap.
Yeah, genius gap.
That's what he calls it. So
yes.
Wow.
And actually, we can all harness this power if we had, the wherewithal to actually do the discipline to do it every day.
Yeah.
We could harness that untapped power because that's our subconscious.
I like how you said wherewithal. In lieu of discipline, I like it wherewithal.
Wherewithal, diba? Just the gumption to just do it, kind of thing, But so that is with Pepito, it was kind of like a dud, which is good because it's so hard because when we experience the ravages post typhoon, but building up to Pepito, it was a Cat 5. So what are we reminded of? Nako, Yolanda na naman yan. Ang laki-laki kasi, di ba? And every day, people would be scared of it. So every day, the territorial fear could be landing because nga, we don't know, we don't feel the symptoms at all in conflict active phase. And so that's what I wrote. guys, this is how it happens. The bronchial mucosa necrotizes. You don't feel it. Whenever you have that fear, the lungs are the ones that are responding to territorial fear. Keeps getting bigger and bigger. The holes in the lungs are trying to get more air in. That's the biological purpose. So it wants you to get more air so that you have more life to defend your territory. Diba? Now, after during the typhoon, mas lalaki pa yung holes because you really have to defend the territory because you're in the conflict, period.
Yeah.
Lalaki pa. Then finally, when it passes, okay, let's fill back the holes with mucus, with fever, with bacteria, with body pain, and all of that, called the flu. Diba? So, but it never happened. There was never a typhoon. Maybe people, actually, I noticed people were coughing.
Yeah. Well, in Manila, it was a dud. I heard it
Oo.
was still strong, but not as strong as they said it would be.
Oo.
Because it was
Oo.
broken down by nature herself.
Yes, exactly.
So-
Thank you, Shera Madres. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. So there. So I'm happy to report that, well, there's no epidemic of flu or cold or whatever. Some people got the cough, but it wasn't, bad enough that it would make the headlines and all of that.
Well,
So
until
wala.
the next ridiculous article that we're going to nitpick on and make fun of.
Yes, we're gonna. I think every time there's a headline, I think we should come up on a live or something and talk about
But
it.
did we title it "Plague It Till You Make It"?
Oh yes, exactly. I love it. Brilliant title. Plague it till you make it.
Oh my god!
But I think imagination is great because we talked about a lot of stuff, a lot of other stuff than than that. So there you go, guys. I hope you find the courage that you actually have it within you to overcome anything. What we say in biohacking, control your biology so it doesn't control you. That's a self-sovereign person. A person who walks this earth, a free person, is one who controls their biology fully. And that's our goal.
I second that. I have nothing else to say. Fantastic.
Right?
For my listeners, you will hear this in the rebroadcast after Ellie broadcasts it in her biohacking podcast. I will put episode notes on where to find Ellie, where to sign up for the classes if it's still open. I hope it's still open. It's going to be. We'll put it there. No, both on
Okay.
the biohacking podcast and Find Your Daily Calm.
Okay.
Salamat, Ellie. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Sel. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Sorry, it kind of went over time, but till the next one, we're going to have more and more of
I
these.
barely noticed that we went over time because
I know.
fantastic.
Amazing.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, bye. Thank you. Bye.
In biohacking, you control your biology so it doesn't control you. But first, heal your mindset. To biohacking and beyond. See you in the next